In September of 2025, President Trump and HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announced multiple policy moves around autism. Among them, updating the drug label for Leucovorin to include treatment of speech-related deficits in autism and encouraging Medicaid coverage in many states. So, what's Leucovorin? That's the topic of this week's Healthcare Triage. Leucovorin, also known as folinic acid, is a chemically active form of the vitamin B9 that has long been used for things like mitigating side effects during chemotherapy. It will now also be labeled for treating certain autism-related symptoms, especially in children with a metabolic defect called cerebral folate deficiency, a rare genetic disorder that affects the transport of folate into the brain. Some children with autism have been found to have elevated antibodies that mistakenly target and block a protein that's crucial for transporting folic acid across the blood-brain barrier. And the thought is that using a drug to treat low folate levels in the brain may be helpful in addressing certain symptoms associated with autism. The FDA's decision to update the drug label is based on a systematic literature review of case reports, mechanistic data, and small clinical observations. But researchers are concerned about the quality and strength of the data and about the lack of large trials. Some early small trials and observational studies suggest potential improvements, particularly when assessing language or verbal communication. But the data we have isn't great, and it's currently unclear whether statistically significant findings will translate to being clinically significant, which is where it counts. One researcher who has worked on Leucovorin and autism said that while the drug might have a place in ASD treatment, he didn't see a dramatic response in a 2020 trial he conducted where a small number of children took it for a period of 12 weeks. Does it mean it's all a hoax and we should move on? Certainly not. Does it mean that media headlines about this are overblown? Definitely. Does it mean that updating the Leucovorin drug label to include autism treatment might be premature? Yes. Do we need rigorous research to support that kind of move? Absolutely. We should also acknowledge that while this or other drugs may target symptoms of autism, this is not a cure. We should also set expectations for patients and parents. Autism is a multifactorial condition, and a single treatment is unlikely to make a huge impact, particularly with children who do not have an issue with folate transport into the brain. So where do we go from here? We need well-run, large, randomized controlled trials that determine this for sure. Fortunately, the current administration says it will fund trials to more rigorously test who benefits, at what dose, and over what time. Unfortunately, making the drug widely available via this relabeling effort will hamper our ability to run controlled trials. While this is an intriguing development in the autism field, it's one that deserves cautious optimism. Leucovorin may help a subset of specific metabolic defect, but for most kids with autism, the benefit remains unproven. In the coming years, the quality of evidence and rigor of trials will determine whether this becomes a meaningful tool for our clinicians or just another speculative theory. Hey, did you enjoy this episode? You might enjoy this previous episode on autism and Tylenol. We'd always appreciate it if you'd like the video. Subscribe to the channel down below. Maybe go on over to patreon.com/healthcaretriage. Help support the show, make it bigger and better. We'd especially like to thank our research associates, Edward Lilyaholm and Joshua Crow, and of course, our Surgeon Admiral, Sam.